What's up, everybody? Jackson here today with my little brother Chubbz, and we're doing our Destiny 2 video game review. Now, before we get in this, there's a couple caveats. One, I didn't buy the game. I just Redboxed it and beat it in a night, 11 hours. Me and my brother together, we just hit level 20. We went through the main story missions. Not all of them, because I've been told that actually as you do these adventures, which are glorified patrols, but as you do these adventures, you actually do unlock more main story stuff, and so there's some stuff we didn't see. We didn't get to do the raid, obviously, since that's released a week after. And we didn't want to wait for it. We just, honestly, I wanted to prove that I could beat this the day it released, and I think I proved that. I hit max level, I did everything in that game aside from the endgame farm, which was weird because a lot of the main campaign felt like endgame farm. But just so to get this out of the way, we're going to start with all the things we enjoyed, and then we're going to crack this bitch open and get to work on it, alright? So, what we enjoyed, the way it looked, right? Chubbz, like,
oh yeah,
gorgeous scenery. The planets are fucking excellent to look at. There were moments I walked off ledges because I was just literally looking up and being like, whoa, look how cool everything looks. The mission where you're going into that thing that's actually like gonna blow up the sun, that was fucking sick.
oh yeah.
Oh, by the way, there's spoilers. Not that the game doesn't kind of spoil it for you, because there's no build up to it. It's just like all of a sudden they're like, hey, the Cabal are gonna fucking beat the sun. So hey, if you were expecting a spoiler free review, I just fucking Destiny 2'd you. So how do you like that? Nung! Right out of nowhere! Anyway, loved the way the game looked. The soundtrack was fucking awesome. I mean, the sounds always were really good with like the guns and all that. Like, they all sounded unique. They kind of sounded the way they felt too, which has always been very awesome. The gunplay has never been a problem. I mean, the gunplay obviously when you enjoyed, but I mean, it's the same gunplay from Destiny 1. So of course that's a given. That said, the sounds was really good. I really liked the music though. The music, they had like some ones with like a haunting woman singing like a haunted melody. Very fucking Witcher 3 to me. Like the thing about Bungie and these guys, you can assume they're very unoriginal. I mean, let's face it. So that kind of talent kind of attracts unoriginal people as well. And so there's a lot of, I mean, Destiny 2 is just the bastard of several different, free-to-play games or, AAA games and things like that did well and that they knew they could make money. I mean, that's what it is. It's nothing against it because it's done in a way that's very unique. I mean, the gunplay, like I said, I mean, how did the gunplay feel to you?
It feels good. Destiny has never had like a problem with the gunplay or how the first-person shooting aspect of it, how the guns feel, you know what I mean, and how unique and, the different variations of them. That's one thing that Destiny has always done well, is the guns.
Done way well.
Oh yeah.
It's always done that very well. The thing that it didn't do well in Destiny 1, I feel like, it just felt like it was mismanaged. They didn't know what they were doing with it.
Yes.
And when it got to the Taken King, everyone was praising it. I heard a lot of praise for this game. I went through the Taken King, I wasn't impressed. Now, so so just so you know, so I wasn't impressed with the way that they improved Destiny 2. Like, to me, the improvements in Destiny 2 are something that should have been an obvious yes. And the real changes should have been in the multiplayer and not in the 4v4, like, kind of sort of nerfing it. I feel like they should have gone grander. I would have liked to see more vehicle levels like we saw in Year 1 Destiny that they took out for some reason. I don't know why, but I would like to see 10v10 matches with those Cabal tanks and shit like that we were using in the story mission. So much fun. But it just always feels like, the focus and where the money's going isn't towards improving the actual gameplay. I'm not going to say that that's not entirely true. I'm saying if you're someone who enjoys the patrolling aspect of Destiny and like running around in the wild and like killing the same mobs and you know where they are and all that, and like the Taken King, you really like just being on the Dreadnought and running around and killing the same mobs over and over again. This game addresses, like, that's the focus of Destiny 2, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, we were doing endgame patrolling to get to the end of the game because we couldn't continue the main story mission because our level was too low, even though we had done the previous. I mean, it wasn't like that in Destiny 1. I never remember a point in Destiny 1 where I had to stop because I had out-leveled the story, or I was under-leveled of the story missions. No, it was kind of like you could just do those at your leisure. You know what I mean?
Well,
the strikes.
Well, another thing that Destiny 1 did well with the stories is they had the difficulty meter where you could get more experience for doing the harder difficulty. Whereas in this, it's a
fixed difficulty. Yeah,
it's a fixed experience. You know, they knew you were going to reach that level.
It's very
and
easy.
Have to do that at that point.
It feels to me like they are trying to make it a lot easier.
Yes.
I think that's why we saw him nerf the turbine. I think that was a real thing they wanted to happen, is they wanted to find a way to make it to the end game. And I've seen the raid. It looks a little challenging. It doesn't look as challenging as the people I was watching it made it out to be. In fact, a lot of them seemed very fucking unskilled at what they were doing and half-assed, really didn't understand what was going on. Now that could be explained because obviously it just come out. They were figuring it out on the fly, so who am I to fucking judge, you know what I mean? But just that aside, it looks fun. It looks like something I would enjoy running.
Right.
But it doesn't look as complex as like a Vault of Glass. It doesn't look anywhere near the scale of a Vault of Glass. It doesn't look as on the scale of like, what was the one in the Crota's End, or
the Dark Below.
Yeah, the Dark Below, right? Was that Crota's?
That was Crota's.
Yeah, Crota's.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like on that scale. It feels very, and it definitely doesn't match the Taken Kings raid, because that raid was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was a whole production. It doesn't match the Dreadnought raid. So, I mean, I had to ask myself while I was playing it, like, you have to understand that I was very angry while I was playing it. You could watch our stream. I was going off left and right and center about things that were annoying. That now that I'm thinking about it, I honestly probably can't remember a lot of them. I remember the AI was very easy and felt dumbed. Like, it felt dumbed down. I used to praise them for their AI. I used to say, like, the enemies are fucking smart. Like, and they are.
Yeah.
There's some of those enemies that creep on you don't even know it, and they're on you, like the captains with the swords.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys, they'll come out of nowhere in the fucking Prison of Elders and just rape your shit, right? And I didn't feel like there was any sort of fucking, like, B. Dobbins did a video where he was like to the point where he was trying not to shoot a bullet. Like, that's how he was trying to beat the mission without killing anything, and he was able to. Like, he was able to beat a couple missions without killing anything, just running through it. Huge groups of enemies, just entirely skippable. The AI, like I said, it felt dumb. I was standing next to things and they were shooting me, but they were missing. It felt like I was up against a troop of stormtroopers or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The main meat of the problem with Destiny, though, and now we're going to get, so that's basically our review. Let's sum it up with it. Is it worth $60? If you're someone, like I said, who enjoyed Destiny 1 and the Taken King to you felt like a huge improvement on that game and it satisfied a lot of the itches you had where Destiny was concerned, well, then it's definitely worth it for you. Because you're going to get your entertainment out of this base edition, and then when they sell you more things with the season pass that you're going to inevitably buy because you enjoy it so much, you're going to enjoy those packs because it's going to add a little bit of new flavor to it. Then the new one's going to add a little, and you're going to have to buy, I don't know how many expansions they're coming out with. They said they hired a third-party developer this time around to help them produce more DLC. So God only knows how much they're, actually going to be pumping out. Right. As far as expansion passes are concerned. But I feel like 11 hours one night. There's this, I'm actually going to be doing a video on this, and it's the RPG label, how that gets thrown around a lot, and technically it can. I mean, it's a role-playing game, so technically Mario is a fucking role-playing game. If you can just be like, oh, well, I'm a little Italian plumber in fucking Mushroom Land, you know what I mean? I'm going to save the princess. Technically, it's a role-playing game, right? But Destiny has this air of like MMO, RPG, and it tries to attach all of these grand things to it, okay? So let's talk about what Destiny is and the feeling we got from it. There's a new system now with Tess Everis where she sells you, what are they called?
The engrams?
Yeah, Bright Engrams?
Yeah, Bright Engrams.
Bright Engrams. So you can buy those, or you get one every level, like Overwatch, which is brilliant. It's a brilliant move. You give everyone one when they level up. It makes everyone feel like we've done something good. Yay. It's that fucking positive reinforcement. Now it's not only is it like a mote of light that you can use to buy, class items that are going to be outdated and worthless once Bungie decides to throw a better number on fucking other ones, and sell you a number. But instead of just getting a mote of light, you're actually getting a loot box, so you're actually getting, in-game rewards. That's why the shaders have gone. There's this whole shader gate thing. Did you hear about that?
Shader gate.
Yeah, that's legit. It's all about how pissed. That's like the Destiny community's primary concern.
Oh my gosh.
They're not pissed that they're selling fucking loot. They're not pissed that it's like the entire game's microtransaction system is built up to hook children and wells and people who are addicted to the gambling fucking like mechanics involved in RNG loot boxes. They don't have a problem with that, Chubbz. They're just mad because the colors that they want their guardians to wear aren't fucking permanent now.
Dumb.
Wah! Wah! I want my permanent shader back.
Well, hey, if they're thinking about the shaders, that's just like
fucking pathetic.
They're just barely picking.
I'm sorry.
They're just barely picking
that's
the scab of that wound. Let them dig a little deeper.
And I'm not trying to offend anyone who has that opinion, and I'm not going to say that it isn't bullshit that Bungie's doing that. But that's not the fucking problem. Like, you need to not be focused on the colors, dude. You need to be focused on the system that turned the colors into a temporary item instead of a permanent, forever item.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be talking about, because that's what we see in Destiny 2. We see King Crush and the Candy Crush formula in spades, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get people to buy all sorts of shit. If you're selling, obviously...
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant, dude.
They've taken the business model of mobile games with MMOs and console games, and they rolled it all out into one game. And that's what they've done. That's how they're able to sell a full title for $200, because it's like an MMO. But then they also have certain things that make it kind of like a mobile game, like the holiday events and the free content with the microtransactions, stuff like that.
Lootbox every time you level up.
Lootbox every time you level up. And it's like they've just rolled it all into one. And it's like, it kind of it falls short on everything but being a decent first-person shooter.
It's a very good first-person shooter gunplay-wise.
Yes.
And the thing is that I can see how people could get into a comfortability with this game and want to play the shit out of it. Because as someone who's dumped hours and hours into a Diablo, someone who has dumped hours and hours, okay, this isn't my problem. It's not my problem that Destiny's a loot grind and that's it. It's with the intention of being this amount of space, these enemies in these locations, so you always know where they are, and you're just running through and killing them. And the enemies in this are even easier than the enemies in the fucking first one. They added a crit point to Minotaurs. I don't need to say anything more than that. They felt the need to add a crit fucking spot for Minotaurs, because Minotaurs were too hard for too many people. So that's just the way it is. And that's fine, but there's a reason they're doing that. And I can see the comfortability you could get, but you need to step away from that and understand that that's not our problem. It's not our problem that that's what they're doing. What our problem is that they're doing it as simple as possible, with as little work as possible. This story felt phoned in. There's just out of nowhere, we're killing Vex and we're on a mission to handle the Vex, and then all of a sudden there's a fucking cutscene where they're talking about destroying the fucking sun.
And it's all the Cabal.
We don't know how we know that information. We don't know what... Yeah, and it's all about the Cabal. But we were just fighting Vex on this planet, and we didn't see a single Cabal in sight. So what the fuck is happening? And then there's this scene where fucking Gaul is gonna choke out the dude and kill the dude, because the dude's telling him to do what he immediately goes and does. Yeah. It's like watching a child throw a fit.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I will take the light, but you don't tell me to take the light. I'll take the light because I decided to, and you don't fucking tell me what to do. I'm gonna choke you and kill you and then go do exactly what you're telling me to do and urging me to do, but I'm gonna do it because I decided to do it, not because you told me to do it. And just in case you're gonna talk shit on me to my buddies and fucking tell them that you told me to do it and that's why I'm doing it, well, yeah, I'm gonna fucking silence you. Right?
Yeah. he was not and then even at the end, he was a whiny villain, because during the fight, he's like, your traveler should have chosen me. What, you wanted to be a good guy?
Why don't you be a good guy?
Really, motherfucker?
The whole thing, it was I don't know, I just didn't care for it. The missions, on the other hand, the actual missions. The gameplay
within the missions.
That epic one where we were climbing in tanks and fucking driving in and infiltrating the ship area, and there was, dude, that shit was fun. I wish there was more vehicles. Like, that's what I'm saying with the PvP. Like, why nerf it, Bungie? Why take it down to a 4v4 format in these predictable, safe fucking arenas that are going to eventually start to feel like Call of Duty maps to people? Because that's what Call of Duty maps are. Like, it's the same map, just repeated, and then, you know, like, reskin, different textures. But the layout and the flow of the map, you know, A, B, spawn, is always the same.
Yes.
Right? And that's, I feel like that's why they took out the giant planet PvP on Mars, that was like all the vehicles and all the good pimp tight sniper spots and shit. Yeah. The one on the moon, the Alpha Base Omega or whatever. Those, I stopped playing it after they were like releasing shit for the Dark Blow. I was playing, trying to get into those maps, could never get those maps, and that's when I found out they took out those other maps. I was like, what the fuck? So you're fucking taking maps I like out, then saying, but here's some new maps that I can't fucking get into. Fuck you. God. It's
because
okay.
They decide.
And that's where we get back to it. With the simplicity, all of that. The skill tree is simple. It is more simple than Destiny 1, and it's not like Destiny 1 was like a complicated skill tree to figure out. But at least it had nuance. At least it had a little nuance. At least it had a little variety. In this, it's literally pick a punch. So you pick a special, then you pick a punch, then you pick a fucking grenade, and you pick a fucking jump. That's it.
Oh,
I was leveling up and getting skill points that I couldn't even use.
You're forgetting one more thing. You could pick your circle ability.
Oh yeah, the circle ability. Oh,
but
fuck
still.
Me. Well, who's going to pick any other circle ability than the one that automatically reloads your weapon?
Still, that's all that they added.
That's exactly. It's a very dumbed down, simplified skill tree from the first game. A very dumbed down, simplified experience from the first one. Like, they took strikes away till the end game, and they wouldn't let you queue for specific strikes. You had to queue in the random, you know, strike playlist in order to get the strike that you wanted to play. We sat there and left poor people after poor. I felt bad for those dudes. But I'm not here to run the same strike over and over again, right? Like, I'm here to play each strike individually to get the experience of that strike. The boss, you know, that's what I'm here to do. That's what you're there to do. Right? But because of the system they created where we can no longer choose a specific strike to run, which you could do in Destiny 1. You could do it right now, right? You could get on Destiny 1 right now and queue for a specific strike. Not at like a high level, but you could queue for a specific strike at level. Right? You can't do that in Destiny 2. By doing that, it's like this constant fuck with the community. You know what I mean? That's like they're one step forward, two steps back. Now you got people feeling angry all the time because one or two members are leaving because this is just the strike they just ran. And they don't want to run strikes and get the same strike over and fucking over again. You know what I mean? So they're just going to leave. And it's a problem. That's a problem. Like, that's one of my biggest problems I had while doing it, was that there were no strikes at base level, and there was no strikes you could run while leveling up. They were forcing you to go into patrol mode and do adventures, which are nothing more than glorified patrol missions. It's a string of like 1 to 3 fucking patrol missions that you do. And then there's a fucking boss fight at the end. Yep. That you see all over the place on the planet. It's always the same fucking boss in these things, right? At least in the fucking ones we ran. Yeah. I was seeing them in events on the planet. When we were doing the events, I was seeing the same bosses, right? And it's the same enemies from the first game. I mean, you can give an enemy a new weapon. That doesn't mean they're a new enemy type, okay? They could have gone out there with this. They could have gone overboard.
Right, like, and there was that one boss that was a giant hobgoblin, and then you were just like, oh my hell.
Yeah, it was an oversized hobgoblin. That's all it was. An oversized sniper.
But it's a new boss.
Yep, that's a new boss. And it had more health than a regular hobgoblin, and it had minions that came in waves that you had to kill during the boss fight. Now, that's a boss in Destiny. So this is our problem with it, is because inevitably what happens with this sort of fucking formula that's as successful as it is they never have to step up their game. Bungie will never have to step up their game. They only had to step up the grind because they knew people enjoyed the grind in Destiny. I mean, their active servers during content droughts proved that. Right? So they knew there were people there willing to do the grind. So what they focused on was the grind. They didn't focus on the scale of the game. They didn't focus on making it a bigger, more grander experience. right? There were moments where my mouth dropped open, but it was because I was looking at things that were pretty, right? I might as well be playing No Man's Sky at that point, because No Man's Sky has plenty of beautiful things to look at, right? That's not why I'm here. I'm here for a new experience, and that's not what Destiny 2 delivered at all. At all. So to me personally, at the end of the day, what do you think, Chubbz? Is it worth
$60?
Is it worth $60?
In my opinion, for me, no.
Okay,
but
reasons.
The reason why is because I prefer a game to actually challenge me in some way. Like, challenge the way I think, challenge my intelligence, challenge my skill at the game, force me to work around a way to, you know, progress to the next level. And, like, you know, if there is a loot grind, you know, I feel like there is a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
And to me, in Destiny, that's not the right way of doing it.
It's not.
It's
simple.
Just, there's no
simple.
Emphasis on anything but that grind, like you just said. But,
yeah.
like, whereas in Borderlands, or, say, Diablo, other farm games, there is a much broader experience than just the grind. You know what I mean? In Diablo, you could make the case that there is just the grind.
But the thing with Diablo is there's also how many classes, and there's how many different ways to play those classes.
There's
a
way.
complexity in the class system that there's work that has been done and thought put into it. And in Destiny 2, it's a dumbing down.
Right.
It's a dumbing down of Destiny 1, which was a dumbing down of an RPG skill tree. Already in and of itself. I mean, you have 3 classes with subclasses, and each subclass has 3 classes, which don't really change shit except for your super. That's all it really changes. Your grenades, your
fast you move.
All right, it's the most basic like difference between classes. Okay, and these new ones don't feel any different. Like, I was playing the Hunter and I played the Titan. The specials didn't feel any different. I mean, the Titan super for Arc that I played for a minute, it was just you could do it over and over again. Okay, the Hunter, it just lasted a little bit longer. But I think the main reason it was lasting longer is because I had gotten an exotic that did that for a minute, and then I had to eat it because it was garbage at a certain point. Because with Destiny, it's all about numbers, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you enjoy.
It doesn't matter what you enjoy. If you enjoy a particular gun, fuck that gun. Like, here's a better gun with a better number, and you gotta have that higher number. And you just, you know, that's what it all is. It's all about your power number. It's all about your light level, whatever it is. I think in this one, this is power level. But that's essentially what Destiny is. It's the thirst for numbers. It's the quest for numbers.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't make fucking sense to me.
That's why, to me, it's not worth $60. Like, you know, for a game like Destiny,
I gotta agree with you as it is. As it stands, I don't think it's worth $60.
Well,
unless you're that dude during content droughts, like who I used to be. Like, I used to be that guy. But if you're that guy, you will like it. It's worth it.
Right. But for us, you know, it's not worth it. And for me, especially because, you know, from my personal standpoint, I played World of Warcraft, you know, I've gone through so many other games and I've ground them down to like the nub of the bone, you know.
That if a game that's grindy, it has a chance of hooking you, it's gotta be.
But the thing about those games is I can look at them with their my experience within those games, and I look at them positively. Like, there were negative aspects to the game throughout the time that I was grinding them, but overall my experience was positive. So when I look back on them, like, you know, through my memories, I think, oh, that was a good game, you know, I feel positive about it. But with Destiny, I never feel that because I feel like the game never honestly challenged me to, you know, grind it out, you know, to challenge me to get better, to challenge me
because it had nothing to do with that. It was all random.
And then even then, like the raids, people could make the argument that, you know, they force you to think about what you're supposed to do. But with my experience, I was raiding with, you know, randos in a pickup group on some forum on the internet of a bunch of assholes who are just going to be like, oh, well, you just stand up there with your sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And then you kill everything on that side. And then we can just go to the next boss. Yeah. And then for the next boss, we do this. And it's just
there is some challenges in the raids, though. The raids are pretty great.
In Destiny 1,
those are one of the things I'll still stand by. Like, I've seen footage of the new raid. I'm less than impressed with it.
Yeah, well,
it seems like it would be fun to play, but not for day one price.
Right.
Not for day one price.
That's why I have a hard time, like, talking about the improvements about Destiny 2, because from my perspective, there really weren't a lot. kind of nerfed everything. The enemies were even nerfed.
But you're not one of those people who like the farm, who are there to farm and just sit there and
but
kill.
I like the complexity
because it's the same. The same thing as like Diablo or Prison of Exile,
right?
You know,
Destiny
or Path of the Exile.
Well, yeah, but in Destiny 1's, the moments that captured me, that made me fall in love with Destiny 1's, were the moments where, like in the raid, where, you know, a portal opens up and we gotta think, oh, we gotta go in there, oh shit, and then we go in there and things starts popping up and you're like, oh fuck, we gotta shoot those things or we're gonna die.
Yeah.
And it's all about that puzzle that, you know, in the moment you got to think about it and then do it, and that was like the challenge.
Well, the thing is
but there really wasn't a lot of that for me, because
in
you
Destiny
can only
2 there wasn't at all.
Well,
it was just we ran through it from point A to B and killed everything in between. That's all it was.
Destiny 2,
it was 11 hours. It was 11 hours.
But in Destiny
of the same
1,
shit.
the reason why I fell out of love with that aspect is because that aspect started to be like very minimalized, because you can only run it like once a week, so you do it all in one night.
Because it's built like a mobile game.
Right.
And that's the problem, is it's all built with this King Crush, Candy Crush mentality in mind, where they're of the opinion, and it's a fact, like they're in the position where they made a Bejeweled clone grindy and made money off of it.
Yeah.
Like lots of money off of it, billions of dollars off of it. Okay, so Destiny, those games, they this is the thing, they don't care, they're about the bottom line. Like that's what this game's about. Like they want to make the most money as possible. So what are they focused on? That's
especially what it's about now.
What are they focused on? Yeah, what are they? That's how you can tell.
Talking about,
yeah,
you know,
and that's,
I can sit here and talk about the good aspects of Destiny 1 all day, because, you know, as bad as Destiny 1 is and like all the negative shit that I had like tied to that game, I can still point out some positive aspects.
Yeah.
But with Destiny 2, like going back through my 11 hours of playing all the content that was available on launch, there wasn't a single moment that I can go back and think, wow, that was a cool moment, except for one, and it was the mission when we were in the tanks.
Yeah, that mission was sick.
And there were a couple of moments. There were a couple of moments where I think, you know, some of the areas looked cool, but like there wasn't that moment where I was like, yeah, I feel challenged. Like I feel like this story is making me think about what's gonna happen next. Or like,
no,
these missions are making me think about how I should go about this. There was no challenge.
It was just, you knew that you were killing someone because someone was doing something or someone needed something. Right. And you were just, the thing about the story was, it's like Diablo. Like it's delivered in a way that if you care, you can see it, but if you don't care, you don't care.
Right.
And even like we were trying to care.
Yes.
And it was just out of nowhere with these cutscenes that made no fucking sense, and I just honestly I couldn't care.
Yeah.
But the overall point of Destiny 2, I would think it was worth $60 here in 3 years or so, when they're fluffing up their next game. I'll dip my toes in, I'll buy a copy of the collector's everything edition for fucking $60, and I'll be okay with that price. The reason I'm not okay with it now is because it feels like a free-to-play game. Now, granted me, AAA quality free-to-play game, because the guns, the graphics, the gameplay, all of that is excellent, but it feels like a free-to-play game.
And that's
they don't give you a sparrow until max level,
yes,
because they want you to extend the gameplay through making you walk everywhere, forcing you to look at things and do side things. It's like, I understand what they were doing, but to take the option of being fast away from people instead of encouraging people, like it kind of makes me think that you were convinced people weren't going to stop and look around.
Right.
Right. If you feel the need to be like, no, like you don't get a choice whether you want to explore or not. Like you're going to explore, or you're going to be sprinting for 2 to 3 minutes to get to where you need to go. Like, I feel like that's a decision you only make, and that's a choice you take away from the gamer, because you don't want the gamer to fucking explore organically, or you don't think he will. Right. Like they didn't think people would, or it's because your game is really short and you want to extend gameplay. And that's what I felt like the entire time with these different things they were doing. Like taking strikes away. Taking, you know, until you hit level whatever at the final planet or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just, it felt ridiculous to me. It seriously felt to me like at every point in the turn, like it was pointing me towards the grind. Towards the farm. Towards the endless, you know, shooting the same enemy all the time. And it wasn't driving me towards the PvP, because the part of the PvP in the first game that I liked, which was those large maps, well, those were taken out of Destiny 1, and they did not make an occurrence here, or a reappearance here, especially not when they're, you know, nerfing the number of playlists to 4v4 because they're going for some competitive esports bid.
Right.
You know what I mean? It felt like they didn't want to have fun with it. It didn't feel like they wanted to have fun with the sequel. It felt like they wanted to figure out how to get as much time out of what they had, you know, how much grind they could get out of what they have, and how to make the grind more entertaining. That's what Destiny 2 felt like. So for $60, I'll buy a complete Destiny 2. Because it will still feel like a AAA free-to-play, right? It'll still feel like a free-to-play game, but it will also still feel like a AAA title, which will, in my opinion and my view, balance it out for me.
Right.
That I would have no problem giving them $60 for the collect my balls edition in fucking, you know, 3 or 4 years, however long they're gonna extend this shit. I would feel like that's when I would feel comfortable saying that's when it's worth it. Because this is like buying a car with a shit engine that you know is going to break down. You're going to bring it back in there to get them fucking to fix it so it runs again. And they're not going to really fix it. They're just going to tweak it every time. And then eventually you're going to have to give them more money. You're going to have to give them more money. So this is a product, in my opinion, based on the way Bungie has handled Destiny 1, is a bad investment. It's an investment, though, for sure, because once you get invested, you're going to have to keep investing.
Oh, yeah.
They will keep selling you
But
things.
here's my question. Is so, like, later down the road, say Destiny 2, Game of the Year Edition, whatever the fuck, all Ultimate Collection, right?
Yeah.
$60. Would you buy and play that game?
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah.
I cannot say that I would.
The reason I would is because I feel like I enjoyed the campaign of the first little bit enough that, and I truly believe that on top of that, if you look at like what the Taken King added, what Rise of Iron added, even though it was a fucking reskin, but the amount of content it added, if I had been someone who had waited and picked up Destiny 1 with Rise of Iron, I'd love that game, right? But because of that experience of seeing what they did, I'm smart enough to know that I'm never going to buy a fucking product from Bungie again day one. Like, period. Fuck that. I'm buying something that's portion of something that already exists, right? We know the DLC for Destiny 2 is already fucking done, right?
Yeah.
The season pass that they sold day one, that's finished content that they worked on during the development of Destiny 2. So they've already sold you only a fucking fraction of the product. Then when the expansions come out, you're still going to have to buy more after that. They proved that with Taken King and Rise of Iron. 2 more bought expansions after they introduced microtransactions with the express promise that the only reason they were there is so they could fund a live team to deliver free content. What did they deliver? Reskinned content. Strikes in a different order with a different boss at the end. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And holiday events and sparrow racing and shit that we knew already existed, right? So that's not what it was for. It was to line the pockets of fucking executives and assholes up at the top. That's what it's there for. This is a fucking $1 billion game. $1 billion. Let that fucking sink in. And that's just 1 billion, I'm saying. I don't know what it's really worth. I don't think anyone would ever be able to tell what it's worth, because I don't think they report microtransactions or digital sales or like something like that. But these microtransactions are cleaning up. You know that when the Destiny's community as one has an outcry after the introduction of loot boxes that only extend the fucking, you know, perpetuate the gambling and the pulling out of the gambling addict, getting that addict fucking in there feeling sick and wanting more loot, right? Their biggest concern is that their colors aren't permanent anymore. So you know that these people are buying these things by the fucking dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens. All right? And if they feel like this product, if they feel like this product is warranted for the billions they've given Bungie, I'd have to disagree with them. I'd have to say that this feels like laziness, except for in one area, and that's the patrols. And I never gave a fuck about the patrols. I wasn't there to do patrols. I did patrols when the goddamn bounty told me I had to.
Yeah.
Just like I did the Crucible when the goddamn bounty told me I had to.
And that's why I don't think I would.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like that's
because
the whole point of my rant was that I would buy it if it was all one product. Right. I'm not getting caught up in their bullshit scheme that equals them making millions. Like they don't deserve my money because they're delivering lazy, simple shit.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying they don't even deserve me experiencing their game. Because I honestly, like, the entire experience is just the grind. There's no grander scale in that. There's no, like, epic story you can dig your teeth into. There's no, like, epic skill tree that you can feel like you're organically getting better. There's no, like, step above other than what can I get this week.
It's just safe, predictable gameplay.
And that's why I wouldn't even get it with the $60 collection, is because you got to understand that all of the content that you're going to get in that collector's edition...
I'd get it on the PC, though, bro.
Well, all of the best...
It looks good on the PC.
Well, all the best content is going to be nerfed. Like
I'm
all
just
the
not.
Old raids,
I'm not going to pay for a free-to-play experience. Like I can play Path of the Exile. I can play. There's so many other games. Like so many other games.
I'll get my grind.
Yeah, like we own Borderlands too. Like yeah, exactly. Like there's other games that are giving me that experience that I'm not going to have to pay $60 to, and then another fucking 50, and then another 40, and then another 50, and then another 40, and then another 50. All the while, all these assholes are spending oodles of money on microtransactions they're cleaning up, but they're like, we still need to make money when you have games like Path of the Exile and companies like that giving free content to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're making enough money off the microtransactions to support their game and add on to it. Right? They're a small company. They ain't making fucking Bungie money. Alright? They're not. They're not. They have not made as much money as Bungie. So why is it okay for them to give out shit without hurting the bottom line, but this billion-dollar fucking making game can't fucking give a free Taken King, or not a Taken King, the fucking Rise of Iron out for free?
Or give a free raid out.
Can you justify why you had to pay $40 for Rise of Iron after all the money they made off the Taken King microtransactions, the Taken King?
Yeah, how about...
And a reskin? Like a reskin of areas that they had already sold you in the base game? Like they just took them and swapped them around a little bit and sold that shit to you for $40? Tell me why they couldn't have given that out for free and kept up with their promise. And, you know, they don't need to.
Yeah.
They don't need to. They knew they didn't need to. People were buying it. Hand over fist. The second that stops, we'll see a whole different fucking attitude coming from Bungie. But it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. They will continue to do the bare minimum in order to get the max amount of money as they can. And I feel at the end of the day, I feel like if you can pick Destiny 2 up in 3 years as a complete package with all the DLC, it's definitely worth your money, definitely worth your time. At this current point in time, unless you're a Destiny 1 fanatic who loved that game, loved the grind, loved the aimlessly wandering around on the same planets, killing the same mobs that are in the same places before, I understand. I really do. Because like I said, I've gotten into Diablo. I've gotten into other games. I just want you to understand why I can't do it in this. There's just no complexity to it. If there was maybe a little bit more difference with the skill tree, a little more room to fuck around with, I don't know, maybe. But, you know, and then they take your subclasses and they bury those behind endgame grind, and it's a free-to-play MMO in my opinion, but AAA quality. AAA quality, free-to-play MMO that is worth $60 if you can get it in a complete package, because that's all Bungie needs off of it. In fact, Bungie could sell Destiny 2 for $20 a piece, and they'd still end up making oodles of money off of this game. Off of those microtransactions. I mean, these free-to-play games prove that. These thriving free-to-play games, these thriving indie developers that are making them, and they're giving back to their community left, right, and center, they prove that Bungie could do the same, and Bungie doesn't. And that's the reason. There's a reason. Bungie don't give a fuck. Bungie don't fucking care about you.
No.
They want your money, and that's it. And I know that might be a foolish thing to feel like something that I would like the developer of my game to give a shit about me, but I really would. I'd like for them to be like, I hope people like this, and I want them to like it. And if they like it and they support me, like, I want to be good to them because they're good to me, and that's why I'm able to be in this position that I'm in, is because of them. So I'd like to give back to them, and I'd like to see them deliver on promises of free content beyond just reskin bullshit. Like, I'd love to see that, but they've never shown me that. They've only ever shown me utter contempt for us.
Yep.
The consumer.
That's why I say no.
No. That's our outro.
It's not.
Chubbz says no. I say in 3 years. In 3 years. All right, everybody. Love you. Till next time, keep kicking ass. Stay awesome. Stay gaming. And remember, Loot boxes are fucking everything up, man. They're fucking everything
Gaming
up.
is dead.
No, it's not, Chubbz. It's not even begun to breathe. How could it be dead?
We've only just begun to live. White lace and promises,